Publius Quinctilius Varus was born around 46 BC to the long-impoverished patrician Quinctilii Varii family. The last time an ancestor held high office was almost 400 years before the civil wars. Though his father, Sextus Quinctilius Varus, sided with Pompeius Magnus and the Senate during the Civil War, Varus himself became a staunch supporter of the young Caesar Augustus, heir to Julius Caesar, and uncle to Varus's brother-in-law. One of Varus's 3 sisters, all named Quinctilia, married Sextus Appuleius, the son of Caesar Augustus's half-sister, Octavia the Elder. Moreover, Publius Quinctilius Varus became a son-in-law of Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa by marrying Vipsania Attica, the younger sister of Vipsania Agrippina. This marriage also made Varus the brother-in-law of Tiberius. Unfortunately, the death of Marcus Agrippa in 12 BC saw the beginning of his family's decline. Tiberius divorced his wife, Vipsania Agrippina, and married Julia, the daughter of Caesar Augustus. Around this same time, Varus acquired a new wife as well, Claudia Pulchra, a Claudian of the branch Marcellus, and granddaughter of Augustus's full sister, Octavia Thurina. This marriage to Claudia Pulchra further solidified Varus's connections within Rome's ruling elite. Claudia Pulchra's lineage tied Varus even closer to the Julian and Claudian families and embedded him deeper within the illustrious and powerful court of Caesar Augustus, launching Varus's political career. His loyalty and service earned him the post of governor of Africa from 8 to 7 BC, where Varus demonstrated excellent administrative capabilities. Varus's governance in Africa was marked by stability and development, proving his administrative worth more as a lawyer than as a military leader. His success in Africa led to his immediate appointment as governor of Syria in 6 BC. In Syria, Varus faced a significant challenge, quelling the violence that had erupted following the death of Judea's king Herod the Great in 4 BC. The battle for succession among Herod's sons threatened to destabilize the east. Marching from Syria into Judea, Varus ruthlessly suppressed the uprisings and crucified almost 2,000 Jewish rebels. While his actions brought an end to the discontent, it also left deep scars in the Judean consciousness. Despite such brutality, Varus's success in restoring order further solidified his reputation as a capable administrator in the eyes of Augustus. With plans to march on Germania in 6 AD and remove Maroboduus, the self-proclaimed king of the Marcomanni tribe, from power, Tiberius gathered approximately 13 legions for the endeavour. However, when the Bellum Battonianum erupted in Pannonia, Tiberius was forced to hastily acknowledge Maroboduus as king of the Marcomanni. Declaring Germania pacified, Tiberius marched 8 of his 13 legions into Pannonia, leaving behind Legios 17, 18 and 19 to guard the German border under the command of Publius Quinctilius Varus. Varus, with his experience as an administrator and his prior successes in Africa and Syria, was a suitable choice for maintaining order in the recently subdued Germanic territories. However, the situation in Germania was far more volatile than Varus anticipated. Word of his brutal methods preceded him, causing concern among the Germanic tribes. The harsh reputation Varus had earned in Judea made the Germanic leaders wary, sowing seeds of distrust and resentment. Foremost among Varus's advisers was Arminius, a Germanic Cherusci who had been granted Roman citizenship. Arminius was the son of Segemirus, the Cherusci chieftain who had led an ambush against Tiberius's younger brother Drusus in the Taunus Mountains during the spring of 10 BC. After a brutal struggle against the Cherusci, the forces of Drusus prevailed. To ensure the future behavior of Segemirus, Drusus took his 10-year-old son as a hostage. Raised and educated in Rome, Arminius eventually joined the Roman military, serving with distinction during the Bellum Battonianum and earning the rank of equestrian. Having reached the position of commander of Cherusci auxiliary units, Arminius was seen by Varus as a loyal ally and a useful intermediary with the Germanic tribes. However, Arminius harbored deep resentment towards Rome for the subjugation of his people and his own captivity. Tasked with the duty of preparing Germania for Roman urbanization, Varus came to trust Arminius implicitly, often consulting him on matters of tribal politics and expansion strategy. Arminius's intimate understanding of both Roman and Germanic cultures made him an invaluable asset in Varus's eyes. He assured Varus that the Germanic tribes were slowly accepting Roman rule and could be pacified through a combination of diplomacy and strategic rewards. However, while Arminius presented himself as a loyal ally to Varus, he was secretly uniting the Germanic tribes against the Romans. His resentment for Rome and desire for Germanic independence fueled his efforts. Arminius used his position to gather intelligence on Roman troop movements, fortifications, and strategic weaknesses, all while maintaining the facade of a cooperative advisor. Varus, oblivious to the brewing rebellion, continued to implement Roman administrative and urbanization policies, trusting Arminius to mediate any tensions with the Germanic tribes. Arminius's assurances of peace and stability further lulled Varus into a false sense of security. Emboldened by Arminius's leadership and knowledge, a coalition of tribes began to secretly amass forces and prepare for a coordinated uprising against Roman occupation of their lands. The coalition's preparations were thorough. The tribes amassed weapons, gathered intelligence, and familiarized themselves with the terrain where they would execute their main attack. They chose the dense paths and narrow passages of the Teutoburg forest, a terrain that favored their guerrilla tactics and disadvantaged the Roman legions, who were accustomed to open-field battles. Arminius's father, Segimerus, played a crucial role in solidifying this coalition, uniting his Cherusci with the Bructeri, Chatti, Angrivari, Marsi, Sugambri, and Usipetes tribes. The involvement of Segimerus lent credibility to Arminius's plan and reassured the tribe's leaders of the legitimacy of the revolt. During the winter of 8 to 9 AD, Varus, following the advice of Arminius, planned a relatively small campaign for the coming year. Leading his 3 legions out of Vetera in March of the 9 AD year, Varus crossed the Rhine River and journeyed deep into Cherusci territory. Along the way, he held court and adjudicated disputes, dealing with the politics of various tribes, confident in the stability Arminius assured him existed. Once in Cherusci territory, Varus selected an area he believed to be pacified and constructed a summer camp intended to serve as his base of operations. Feigning passivity, the Cherusci now had the entire summer to watch and study the Romans. In July of the 9 AD year, Arminius initiated the next phase of his plan. He covertly directed some of his Bructeri allies to commence raids on Roman villages within the territories of the Angrivarii, creating a sense of chaos and unrest in the region. At the same time, small groups of Cherusci were instructed to ambush Roman work parties that were isolated in the forests, disrupting their operations and sowing further confusion among the Roman ranks. As the summer wore on, the escalating unrest became Varus's primary concern. However, his other advisors cautioned that launching a campaign at this late stage in the year was impractical. There simply wasn't enough time before the arrival of the first snows to suppress the rebellion and safely return to their winter quarters on the Rhine River. But Arminius needed Varus to deviate from the familiar, well-protected path and march in the direction of the raids where his allies had spent the summer constructing traps. So Arminius made a suggestion. Publius Quinctilius Varus should kill 2 birds with 1 stone. By diverting into Angrivari territories, Varus, with 3 full legions at his disposal, could easily put an end to the violence and, in the process, move closer to the Rhine River and winter quarters. Varus agreed and began preparations to mobilize his legions. As Varus's camp prepared to move, another Cherusci chieftain, Segestes, rode in and voiced a dire warning. He claimed that Varus had been betrayed by Arminius. Varus, however, grew suspicious. Segestes was the father of Thusnelda, Arminius's wife, and it was known that he opposed his daughter's marriage. Dismissing Segestes's warning as the grudge of an angry father-in-law, Varus gave the order to break camp. On September 7th of 9 AD, as his men broke camp, Varus distributed the pay owed to his legions and promised they could loot and pillage in Angrivari territories as compensation for deviating from the standard route, the route filled with supply garrisons. Arminius then announced that he would leave to oversee the muster of the Cherusci auxiliary forces, promising to rejoin the greater army in 2 or 3 days' time. Leaving a few Cherusci spies to keep him informed of unexpected changes to the plan, Arminius rode out of camp and joined his men. On the morning of September 8th, Publius Quinctilius Varus, accompanied by approximately 21,000 men of the 17th, 18th, and 19th legions, 6 auxiliary cohorts, and 3 squadrons of cavalry, began his deviated march toward Angrivari territory, oblivious to the treachery that lay ahead. An ambush, one that would echo through the ages.